Hello, everyone, and welcome to our AMAA, Ask Me Almost Anything event here at CIP. This is the first of many panel discussions we're working on to give our students the opportunity to share their stories and experiences with all of you. My name's Michael Knoll. I'm the Director of Program Operations for the College Internship Program, otherwise known as CIP, and your panelist host for today. For those of you who are new to CIP, let me tell you a little bit about us. CIP, which is the College Internship Program, we've been helping young adults on the autism spectrum and with learning differences find success in college, employment, and independent living in our 5 centers across the US since 1984. CIP's programs are specially designed to help young adults on the ASD spectrum make successful transitions to young adulthood. Our vision is to challenge the norms of what people with learning differences can achieve. We have 5 centers across the country with locations in Long Beach, California, Berkeley, California, Brevard, Florida, Bloomington, Indiana, and our very first and oldest location, the Berkshires in Massachusetts. So let me tell you a little bit about our panelists today. Our panelists are current students in our programs and represent all 5 of our centers. They've been asked today to participate in this event as a means for sharing their stories and experiences with each of you about topics they're interested in and passionate about. So without further ado, I'll let them each introduce themselves by telling us who they are, where they're from, and what brought them to CIP or some type of goal that they'd like to talk to you about. So we'll start it off with John. John, take it away.
Thank you, Michael. Good afternoon or morning to everyone. I am John Pike. I am a 4th year student here at the CIP Berkshire Center. I am originally from a city called Winston-Salem in North Carolina. And the reason I came to CIP was to, after years of struggling with academic and personal difficulties, kind of gain some traction in my life, gain some social skills, gain some confidence, and I feel that CIP has done that for me wonderfully. So.
Fantastic. Thank you, John. And Caitlin.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Snyder. I am originally from Tulsa, Oklahoma. I am here in Bloomington, Indiana at the CIP Center. And one goal I have is, while being here, is I'm really working on budgeting and working on social skills.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Caitlin. And Ryan, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Ryan Whitlock and I am originally from Upland, California, and my CIP center is in Long Beach, and I've been here, this is my 2nd year, and one of my goals is to have more confidence in myself and to advocate better.
All right, fantastic. Thank you. And Mary.
Hello, my name is Mary Cullen. I am from Washington, D.C., and I am at CIP Brevard. This is my 4th year, and one of my goals is to work on my rigidity and cope with change, and I came to CIP to prepare for college and independent living.
All right, fantastic. Thank you. And last but not least, Zach.
Hello, my name is Zach Goodwin. I'm a 2nd year student. I'm here at CIP Berkeley. My overall goal is kind of get my career path kicked off and get a job and kind of find my own apartment to live in and live independently.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you to all of you. And so now we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty of our list of questions. And what we did when we sent out the invite to this panel event is we've asked all of our participants who are watching today to send in a question that they'd like to hear answered. And then we pulled from some of those questions, and that's what we're going to be asking some of our panelists today. If, as we go along, you have additional questions, feel free to enter those into the chat. And Amy Darist, who is part of our digital marketing team, will be helping to sort of manage some of those questions as we go through. So if you've got further questions, make sure we get those in there. If we're not able to get to them today, because there are a lot of questions, and we got well over 50 some questions from our registered participants today. So please feel free to put them in and we'll get to them as we can. Okay, so as I said, now we get down to the nitty gritty, a list of our questions and panelists. If at any time you're not comfortable with a question, feel free to say pass, and we'll either move on to another panelist or to another question. Our questions today will primarily focus on relationships. So from friendships to dating, to roommates, and to family. So let's get started. So as we look at friendships, John, can you tell us what has been the best way or place for you to meet friends, and how do you keep in touch with each other?
Well, for me, I would say that the best way or place that I've made friends at CIP is simply through the various roommates that I have lived with. I remember in fall 2017 when I first got to CIP Berkshire, I had a residential advisor in my apartment. He and I were very, very close. We got to know each other pretty well throughout the year. He's actually moved on, and he's now currently an engineering student at a Western New England University in Springfield. We've kept in touch through phone calls, through text messages. We've Zoomed each other a couple of times. So that's been a wonderful experience. I would also say that another place that I've made a great deal of friends is through the creative arts department at CIP. Drama and theater have connected me not only with CIP students, but with the greater Berkshire community at large. And that has just been an incredibly wonderful experience.
Fantastic, thank you. Anyone have anything to add to that about meeting friends and where you've met friends and how you've established some friendships?
Well, when I first came to CIP, I primarily met my friends through weekend activities, and basically every friend that I met who left CIP, I've always kept in contact either through electronic media or if they live driving distance, I can see them in person.
Fantastic, great. Thank you, Mary. Anyone else?
Yeah, probably my way. Oh,
that's all right.
Sorry.
We'll go with you and then Ryan, I think.
cool. Yeah, my probably way I met my friends here is just kind of hanging out in Vicento, because Vicento is probably my favorite place because everyone's here and you really get to know and interact with them. And I think it's fun talking to them like face to face and just kind of laughing and having fun with each other. That's kind of my way I make people have friends do it at my time at CIP.
Amazing, thank you. And Ryan, did you have something to add?
Yeah, and also when I made friends while being in clubs that have common interest with me, so that was how I gained a lot of friendships in that way.
Very good, awesome. Well, thank you all. And then Caitlin, our next question is going to be out to you, and that is, what's the most important thing to you about making friends?
Well, the first thing that I would have to say is important about making friends is to be genuine, be yourself. And then the second reason would probably be show interest in them. That's what I was looking for. Sorry.
That's okay.
By showing interest in them, they feel like, oh, I'm special, that type of thing. And people like talking about themselves. And so asking questions and just getting to know them, it has really worked for me.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, it's not real easy to make friends, right? Sometimes you have to put yourself out there. Sometimes you have to be the assertive person to say hello to people, to engage with people. And that's not always an easy thing to do, right? Because,
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. Anyone else want to speak to their experiences in making friends?
My experience making friends is that they have to be honest and loyal to each other so that they can be treated like a little family group.
Yeah.
So they can stay connected and stay close.
Good. All right, great. Well, so now we're going to move on to something a little more juicy, and that is in dating. So, Ryan, this question comes out to you. How do you meet people that you want to date?
Oh, okay. Oh,
Or you can talk to us about your dating experiences and how those have come about.
how I started was I started in clubs because I want to like be friends with a lot of people, but then I started talking to this one person that I am with at this point. And yeah, we were in it's like a club we were in together. It's called Anime Club. Like everyone loves have their anime that's a common interest. So that's how we got to know each other and got to connect, because after that we would watch anime together off in our apartments. So that's how it happened.
Yeah. Great. Anyone else want to talk to us about how you've met people to at least explore dating a little bit further?
So I'll get a kick of it. So I'm not really gay a lot. I'm only gay one girl my whole life, and she was really nice. And how I really got to know her is she was in most of my high school classes, and I found my freshman year I had a little crush on her, and in my junior year I finally got the guts to ask her out, and it was honestly a really fun experience. And we still talk, we broke up, but we still talk, and we're still really close friends. So I think having a relationship is really healthy and it can really make you a better person.
Good, good. Thank you, Zach. Anyone else want to share their experiences of dating and meeting intimate relationships, creating intimate relationships?
I'll be happy to share my experiences. My first relationship started when I was 16, and it was someone my first boyfriend was someone that I had known for several years through my summer camp. And then my second boyfriend, I met during my first year at CIP. I was actually at the end of my most recent relationship, and it got toxic, and he was very supportive, and I started feeling very fond. And we spent that academic year getting to know each other and started leaning towards becoming a couple. And then he left CIP and flew across the ocean and is now living in another country, but we were in a long distance relationship for a year.
Yeah. Thank you, Mary. Anyone else before we move on? All right. So our next question is going to come to you, Zach, and that's, can you share with the group here what your future vision is of connecting with a significant other and what you want in a lifelong relationship?
Probably how I'm gonna find the goal of my life is playing actual game apps. I never really liked game apps. It wasn't really my favorite thing. I actually want to get to know them, like accidentally bump into them and like, oh, hey, and I just talk to them and kind of click a little bit. And I want a girl to get kind of my pokey sense of humor, and I'm such a geek and a gamer, and I want to kind of maybe have one of a girl I love be a geek and love anime and play video games and walk Star Wars 24/7. I kind of want to find this person that I really truly love and kind of want to get a house and have kids with. That's kind of my overall love goal in my life.
All right, great. Thank you, Zach. Anyone else want to talk a little bit about what you see as a future vision? Go ahead, Mary.
Yes, well, honestly, what I want in my forever relationship is I'm not the most romantic person, but I want someone who cares about me, who respects me, who's honest, and I think someone who will support me when I'm going through a difficult time. And I also think that there's going to be times when I'll need his support, and I think there will be times when I'll need to support him.
Absolutely. Very good. I see Amy has put up a quick poll for all of us here. Would you rather stay in or go out for a date? This is an interesting question, especially in light of COVID-19 and what we're dealing with here, but can be a little challenging at this point to go out. But would you rather stay in or go out for a date? Let's see what answers we get here from our panelists. And Amy, you may have to share some of that with me because I'm not sure if I can see all of that or the results of our poll.
So our voting is in process, and despite COVID, we are looking at 64% of attendees who have voted say that they would prefer to go out rather than stay in. 36% stay in, 64 go out.
So
maybe our panelists could answer the question as well.
Yeah, so anyone want to take a shot at what you would do, or what's your sort of what's your vision of going out on a date with someone that you want to potentially explore an intimate relationship with? Like, what's sort of your vision of a perfect date, or at least close to perfect? Anyone want to try that one?
Sure, I can.
Okay.
I would rather go out and actually go for a walk and just get to know the person.
Nice. Good. And Amy, I'm not sure if I'm the only one seeing this, but all I can see is the question, the poll. Oh, there we go. All right. Anybody else have a good vision for the perfect date?
I think for me, I would like to. It depends. Like if I go inside, I want to like hang out with him, watch my shows, and eat ice cream together. And then when I go out, like go to like something that we both enjoy, like go to a little bookstore, like we go read manga or something and have a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very different world, right? When you're meeting someone inside or in your own home or in their home, there's a different level maybe of expectation than it is when you go out, right? Because you have other things that can distract you and other things that you can talk about, that you can use to engage in conversation and get to know one another a little bit more. So it doesn't surprise me a whole lot that we would rather be outside, at least initially, as you start to date, right? So, Mary, can you tell us a little bit about whether you envision yourself in an intimate relationship and getting married, having children in the future? What's your thoughts and vision on that?
Well, honestly, for my whole life, I've always visualized myself having children, but when I started working at a school and with children and becoming an adult, I kind of figured if I am emotionally and financially able to do so, I would love to. And I think if not, I could hopefully like at least assist a friend who has a child or work with children. But I definitely see myself getting married.
Oh, good, good, good. That's great. Anyone else want to talk about their vision of their future in an intimate relationship or with a significant other? Caitlin, were you about to say something?
No, sorry.
That's quite all right. All right. Yeah, these could be some touchy questions, right? And so I appreciate anything and everything that you all are willing to share with this group and with those who might be listening in. It's not always easy to talk about what your future might look like, but hopefully you all have some vision about what you want your future to look like, whether it be with a significant other or how you manage your life moving forward. All right. Now I'm going to ask the group as a whole. Does anyone want to share an experience about a date that they went on that went well or didn't go well? That's to the whole group. And what maybe happened that went well, and maybe what didn't happen that didn't go well.
Well, I actually have an experience. It wasn't exactly a date, but he was a guy that wanted to show me how a date should go like.
Oh.
And so he was like treating me really nicely, giving me compliments, paid for my food. we watched a movie. I mean, we did a whole bunch of different stuff, and he was just like very attentive, and he's like, this is how a guy should treat you.
That's great. And how did that feel for you?
It made me feel special. It really did.
That's good. That's good. I think that's what it's supposed to be about, right? Is to impress someone that you care about, right? And it doesn't have to be guys do that for girls and girls do that for guys, or vice versa, or any of those things. It's good ways to. I like that. I like that there's there are people out there that want to show you a good time. That's great. All right. Anything else before we shift over to different types of relationships? Before we close the dating chapter? All right. Well, great. If you have something you want to share about that later on, just let me know and we'll come back to it. All right. So now let's move into roommates and those relationships that are sort of constructed for us based on who we're going to be living with, who we're going to be working with, and all those types of things. So John, the first one comes out to you. In terms of when you came to CIP, I assume that everyone here has had a roommate at some point in time, if not prior to coming to CIP. Certainly, most students within CIP have a roommate in our supported apartment living situation, right? And so, John, was it difficult adapting to life with a roommate?
Frankly, no. And I would say that because I came to CIP at a time when I was kind of ready to kind of branch out and meet new people. So when I got into my first year roommate situation, it went fairly well. We did a good job kind of supporting each other's interests and talking. And from that point on, I will say that I've had a variety of roommates. There have been sometimes issues and conflicts within those situations, but you can kind of work to talk it out between your roommates and staff as need be. Generally, those things get resolved, and as time has gone on, I've gotten better at it. And this year, I would say that things are starting out quite smoothly for me. My living situation has been excellent. So
That's fantastic. Thank you, John. Anyone else want to talk about their roommate situations? Yeah, go for it. Go ahead, Mary.
Okay, well, like John, when I came to CIP, I was like isolated in a single room for in a college dorm the year before I came to CIP. And when I came, I formed a very close bond with my roommate, and we got along very well. And she was my only roommate from the time that I started until I transitioned off campus. But there were times when we had our ups and downs. We both went through bad times, and and sometimes it could like lead to conflict in our house, but for the most part, we became best friends.
That's amazing. Yeah, I oftentimes the people that you live with, whether they're completely different than yourself or very similar to who you are and your likings, either way, you're going to learn something from them, right? Sometimes the people that are the most different from us are the people that we may have challenges with more, but we're going to learn the most from them. So I encourage you to stretch outside of those that are most familiar to you and get to know somebody who might be a little bit different than you, and have them understand who you are and you understand who they are. Yeah, go ahead, Mary.
Yeah, I'd like to further add, because luckily my relationship with my roommate went very well, but at CIP throughout my time, I've known some people who've had good relationships, some people who just weren't all that close with each other, and some people who didn't get along as roommates. But hopefully CIP can like put you with the person that you're the best match with, and if not, they can hopefully change your roommate assignments. And also you can see your friends at weekend activities or at the center, so don't worry about it.
Great, thank you. Any other comments about roommates? Yeah, go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, in my 2 years of CIP, I had 2 roommates. My first roommate, we never seen eye to eye. He was super messy, and I kind of had to, we fought a lot. So I really isolate myself in my room. But again, the fall semester, I got my new roommate. But I didn't really get being with them now along because coronavirus happened. So we had to isolate each other. But since I'm being back, it's been great. He's such a great person. We both love hanging out, playing video games, and love watching SpongeBob, weirdly enough. And that's kind of a great way to connect with each other. We kind of share our love of cartoons with each other and have talk about some of our favorite SpongeBob episodes that we love and really care about. So that's kind of my real relationship with my new roommate that I am so grateful having.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Thanks, Zach. All right, yeah, go ahead, Caitlin.
My first roommate, we didn't spend a lot of time together, but we always had breakfast together. And that's how we got to know each other, and I really got to know her interests.
Yeah, I think that's nice, if you can't, because, we all have busy lives and we're all doing our own thing, but it's nice when you can take some time to just spend with the people that you live with, because it's important to have open communication and be able to talk with one another. You don't always have to get along, but, when you're signing a lease with someone, when you're renting an apartment with someone, it's not always easy to just, change things out when it doesn't work, right? And so this is a great opportunity for all of you to learn as you come into CIP and you're experiencing, living with someone that may be different than you or just different that how to work through some of those challenges. I think that's where you build a lot of those independent living skills. And speaking of which, Caitlin, can you tell us a little bit about when you decided that you were ready for a transition into independent living? So do you remember that moment when you thought, yeah, I really need to sort of go do something else. I need to start building my life, my career, my education, and what I want to do with my future?
Well, that actually happened twice for me. My first time I thought I was ready and I wasn't. And the second time it was like I had a few doubts because I was afraid I was going to fail again. But I also had the doubts of like, what if I'm not a good roommate? What if I mess up again? Yeah, just common doubts that I think a lot of people would have when they first are like, I'm ready to move out, but I'm not sure if I'm really ready. I think that's when it really hit me that to my parents, it made them realize that I was ready.
Yeah, that's it. And I think motivation is a big part of all this, right? It could be probably super easy for some people to stay at home and to sort of have things, not done for you, but managed for you. And as long as you're with mom and dad, out of love and support, they're probably always going to do things for you, and that's their role. But what is it that creates a sort of a motivation to want to do for yourself, right? Have your own place, your own mailbox, your own toaster, whatever that might be. But what was it for any of you that had you sort of decide, I want something different than what I have here at home? Go ahead, Ryan.
For me, like trying to like live by myself, like it was a journey at that point because I was diagnosed really late into my years. So I didn't know that much about myself. I didn't know where to go at that point. I didn't know what to do. But then when I came to CIP and my mom found this place, I was just over the moon. I was just like, yes, I finally get to learn all this stuff. And when I first moved in, it was pretty funny though because I like a switch just started to turn on, like flipped, and I just changed. Like I was like, okay, this is my home. I don't want to go. It was pretty fun, so I like it a lot.
Ryan, can you tell us a little bit about what some of the best things were about having a roommate and what some of the hardest things were about having a roommate?
So the best thing about having a roommate is that for me, that I found a person I could connect with and get along with, and we both have the same common interest, so we watch a lot of our shows together, and also even though we're like a bedroom or like a foot away from our rooms, we'd like talk to each other on like Discord, like a little app on our phones, and we send each other pictures. But like the hardest things, I think sometimes it's just Like I don't have hard things with my roommates, but if I did, I think it'd be like the communication part. That'd be the hardest one. But all right now it's really good. Like my roommate, I had this roommate for like 2 years now, so we're like really close to each other.
That's awesome. That's really amazing. Anyone else want to share a positive or a challenging time with roommates? All right. All right, great. So Zach, can you tell us a little bit about how you and your roommates deal with conflict and disagreements?
So me and my roommate both agree that we really like to go kind of talk face to face. It's the best way kind of communicating, and talking face to face is really like you can show your emotions on your sleeve. But if you like get a over text message, it's kind of hard to like explain what happened, kind of say how you feel. But how we kind of solve figure out conflict is like kind of say like, hey, what can I do, and how can I make that better, and kind of find a solution to the problem in like a peaceful, human way, and not like yell at each other and throw plates at each other. We kind of trying to like kind of human interaction, like be a really polite. Okay, if people are nice to you, you will be nice to them back. If someone's rude to you, you'll be rude to them back. So I think that kind of not overreacting and keeping it cool is kind of the best way to solve a conflict.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Zach. It sounds like communication is a common theme, right? In all of our relationships, and especially with those people that we live with, right? Because being able to communicate openly, and whether it's at breakfast, whether it's during a conflict, or how you're going to play games together or interact and have activities together, all those things really require quite a bit of communication. For you to be able to talk about things that are getting on your nerves, right? So that you can talk about them, because if you don't talk about them, they're going to keep getting on your nerves, and that kind of thing will build and build and build. And then you're going to find other things that are getting on your nerves, right? And that kind of relationship, when you're living together, you really need to have some a little bit better open communication, so you can talk to people about that, because you might be doing things that are getting on their nerves, and without people knowing that, then you can't resolve some of those issues and challenges. So communication is definitely something that is front and center when it comes to roommates and relationships in general. So, Mary, what are some of the things that you wished you would have known before moving out on your own? If you take a look back, right? Remember before you moved out of mom and dad's house and maybe came to CIP or to another college, what were some of the things that you would have told yourself then to know for now?
Well, honestly, my parents and my educational consultants wanted me to come to CIP immediately after I graduated high school, but I was just so scared that, like, what if something really bad happens to me? I was scared that my relationship would break up, and I was afraid I'd just be on my own. But what I wish I knew would be that the CIP staff and the students would really, they'd have my back, they'd support me in every way, and I would meet some of like the greatest friends I've ever known, and that I would like meet a boyfriend who was better than my first one, and now I feel that in the future I'll meet someone who's even better than the one I've had recently.
Yeah, thank you, Mary. Anyone else want to share some insight to those who might be watching who are considering a program like CIP or considering moving out on their own? What advice would you give to them, having already done this? Anyone else? Go ahead, Zach.
Probably for if anyone's interested, the first 2 weeks are really rough, I gotta say. You feel isolated and really alone. It'd be you against the world. But all you new people who come with you, they feel the same way, and kind of just trying to connect with people. That's kind of how I got through it. I met my roommate before he was my roommate. I really connected with him going weekend activities, and I really got to know him and kind of just have a kind of a little tiny friend group that you are with. Maybe start a group text with them, or maybe being a Discord or send a meme every day to with someone. Kind of just like little funny things that kind of helps you make you feel better and you less lonely when you felt when you first start CIP.
Oh, thank you, Zach. Yeah, that's absolutely common, right? So people do feel alone, even if you've got a roommate, even if you've got people that you're working with, whether it's going off to college for the first time or moving into a program like CIP. But just remember, you're not the only one who feels alone, right? So if all those other people who feel alone are able to reach out to someone and talk to someone, then hopefully you don't feel that sense of alone anymore. And within the first week or so, you start to get comfortable, things become a little bit more familiar to you. And I think that's what lets us know it's going to be okay, right? And we start talking less and less to mom and dad, which probably freaks them out a little bit, but we talk less and less to them and more in building our own community and our friends and the relationships that we're looking to build for our future, for your future, right? Anyone else want to talk about advice that they would give to someone else who might be looking to venture into a program like CIP? Yeah, go ahead, Mary.
Yes, I mean, I actually said this to all the newer students, but I told them that 3 years ago, I was a new student who was really scared, and I've been there before, and I'm here to support them. So I will say that like all the students at CIP have been through that at some point in their lives.
Yeah, it's pretty common. Even outside of CIP, it's a pretty common experience, but it takes a lot of bravery to do that, right? So you're all super brave, and we certainly appreciate the advice that you would give to somebody else out there who might be thinking about this. Anyone else? Yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
I believe like for me like it'd be like connection like keep connected to your friends in high school if you ever want to like talk to them like on a Zoom call or see them again, or and also yeah like keep a close connection to your like friends, keep talking to them, and they'll like help you, support you anywhere they need help at.
All right, great. Awesome, thank you. All right, we'll move on now to family relationships. And I would just want to ask a few questions, or the audience wants to ask a few questions about how your relationships change with your families. So John, we'll start off with you. How do you stay self-disciplined without any reminders from your parents? Do you have any strategies that that you've been able to work for yourself?
I would say that it has been a gradual process. I'll admit, when I first enrolled at the local community college, Berkshire Community College in Pittsfield, my first semester there was spring of 2018, and I'll admit that I fell into a lot of the same bad habits that got me into negative situations throughout high school academically. But as time has gone on, as I've learned to work with staff in terms of developing strategies and ideas for how to keep me on track, I have gained momentum. I've increasingly built success. I would say that it's sort of a process of getting trust from others and trusting them back, and kind of learning how to give and take and compromise uh, in order to stay on track and stay focused on the end goal.
Good, good. Anyone else want to talk about how they moved from getting reminders from parents or prompts or things to remind us to do things, and now we're able to do them on their own? Go ahead, Ryan. And then Caitlin.
For me, I remind myself, like I put reminders on my phone and times, so like I have to do this, and then I also put some stuff on my calendar, like saying I have homework I do from this hour to this hour, or I have guitar practice this hour to this hour. So it alerts me when it's time to do it.
That's amazing. That's a great way to do your sort of executive functioning, right? To make sure that you take time to do the things that you need to do that don't just come naturally for you to think about doing, right? And that could be anything. So, and the time of digital technology where we've got phones and we've got, you know, different technological devices to help remind us about things. I use them all the time. So it's absolutely a great resource for us. And go ahead, Caitlin.
Ryan actually took my my answer.
Oh, all of it?
Yeah, she really did.
All right, well, great. It's good to hear that you're all using the same types of resources. All right, Caitlin, how can parents support your growing independence and transition to an independent life after high school?
I know this is kind of harsh to say, but you need to let them fail sometimes. But always be there when they ask for help. That's the biggest thing I've had to learn, is to ask for help. And it was really hard because I've always relied on my parents and myself to do things, mostly myself, especially when it comes to academics. And when I was like falling behind and failing in my class, I was like never telling anyone beforehand. And now it's like, I'm now telling everyone I'm doing this in my class, and this in my class, and I'm very excited about classes now.
Oh, good, good. Anyone else want to share an experience? Go ahead, Ryan.
The way that my parents support me is that my mom sometimes can get a little she wants to do it for me, but I'm telling her, okay, Mom, you gotta let me do it by myself. I'll ask you for help when I need the help. So I let her know at that point, I'm like, Mom, let me do it. But also I had trouble also like asking for help when I need it. I always relied on myself a lot, and I was always afraid to ask someone for help because I didn't know how they would respond or how they would help me. So I just always backed away from it.
Yeah, I mean, it comes from a good place, right? Our parents have been there for us all along, right? And they're there to coach us and to help us make decisions, and sometimes make decisions for us, right? But when you get to this point in your life, you want to start trying to do things on your own. And I agree with you, Ryan. I think sometimes you learn more from the things that maybe you weren't as successful about, right? Because you have to figure out how to get to where you want to go and how you want to get there. I think that's a big part of what CIP can provide in terms of, you know, ability to sort of run ideas about, that you have to someone else who really isn't a parent, right? That's going to give you an objective response or feedback about, you know, maybe some of their experiences too. But it's also about, you know, bouncing ideas off of your own community, right? When you start to make friends, if we go back to the beginning of this panel event, right? It was all about making friends and about creating those connections and building a community of people that you can rely on and that you can trust to give you the feedback that you need to make good decisions. But ultimately, not every decision is going to end in success. And sometimes that's a matter of understanding what could be different and how do you go about that differently so that you can get to where you want to go, right? But our parents love us very much. Otherwise, they wouldn't have even come this far to bring you to a program like CIP. So it all comes with really good intent, but it's also good and okay for you to help them set those boundaries and those limits so that you can, you know, try some things out on your own and grow from there. So as we start to wrap things up here, I think we have one more question for Ryan, and that was, how has your relationship changed with your parents since starting a transition program like CIP? We'll start with you, and then we'll give everybody a chance to answer it, and we'll wrap up from there. Go ahead.
Okay. It changed. My relationship with my family has gotten so much stronger because back then I had trouble like telling my family that I'm having like a difficult time in school. Like my mom would actually see my face and how I was stressed, overwhelmed. I was like upset mostly because I didn't understand most things. Even with a friend group, I still felt I felt left out every time. And I always told my mom, like, why do I feel alone? Like, what is going on? I don't know what's going on. So after I got diagnosed like a few years ago, it took a long journey to get to it. My family supported me, and my mom found this program, and it was a lot of it helped me so much, and it also helped my relationship with my brother, because my brother and I were kind of at a crossroads, because he was taking on like the father role in that point in his life, because we had lost our parent at a young age. So he was acting like the father, and I couldn't handle it, because I'm like, okay, you're not my father, you can't do this to me, you can't tell me what to do. And but after I learned about who I was, and now I can connect with my brother a lot better, and we always talk to each other and have a decent conversation all the time now. So this has helped me so much.
That's fantastic. That's really great to hear, Ryan. Anyone else want to talk about their relationship with their family and how it may have changed since they started the road to independence? Go ahead, Caitlin.
I actually had a rocky relationship with my parents before I came to CIP. I would refuse to work with them. They had three rules about if I were to stay at their house. It was go to school, get a job, and to work on a budget. And I refused to work on a budget with them. And it was just really hard for me just to even talk to them after that. And then when I came to CIP and I started to we have to work on a budget here, I was like, okay, maybe I'll work on it. And then I said that when I started working on it, I then became closer to my parents.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's sometimes we don't understand the reason, right? Why some of those things, because you haven't lived through those experiences yet. But being able to manage your own budget really gives you a lot more self-control, gives you the ability to make your own decisions, as opposed to asking someone else for money or asking someone else to sort of help you out when it's something that you've owned or that you've earned. And earned doesn't always mean that you've earned it by getting a job and earning money. It can be that. But sometimes you've earned it because you've managed or budgeted the funds or the resources that you have in order to get what you really want. And whether that's a game or something personal of personal nature, it's you've earned it. And I think that's the sort of takeaway from all of that. Anyone else want to talk about their relationship with their family and how it might be different between before coming to CIP or and then after you've been here? Go ahead, John.
I would say that the biggest thing that has happened between my parents and I is that we have a greater sense of trust between the three of us. But I think some of that also comes from myself internally being more able to trust myself now than I did when I first came 4 or 3 years ago. I would say that through that, it's really helped me gain confidence to address whatever issues I feel I need to address with my parents. And in fact, I will mention that throughout this whole period of virtual learning, when I had a review session with my advisor and my parents, they said, well, we're glad to see that, we've seen him grow into a confident young man who can trust us more and address more things with us, rather than the person that we sent off who was at times a bit lost and too secretive. So.
Great, thank you so much. Any last comments before we wrap up today? All right, great. Well, first of all, I want to thank each and every one of you for being bold and brave and putting yourself out there and volunteering and raising your hand to say you want to be a part of this very first of what we hope is going to be very many of our Ask Me Almost Anything panels. It does take incredible bravery for you all to come forward and to share those experiences. We really appreciate that. I hope that what we've been able to do today is through your experiences, share with other people who who are looking to, journey down that road of independence. CIP can be one of many different ways for individuals to be able to do that. And we certainly appreciate all of your participation today. And we look forward to future events where we're going to have this almost any Ask Anything panel. This session has been recorded today, so this will be available to participants and will be posted on our website moving forward. And if you want to be a part of any other panels moving forward, I certainly would welcome you to be able to do that. So thank you all for your contributions today, and have an amazing weekend. All right. Take care. Thank you all. Bye-bye.